Hey everybody, today I'm going to show you how I rescued this Shimano XTR wheel from the garbage and how I gave it new life. Keep watching and I'll show you all the steps to do it. So the first thing I did is researched it. So I looked up the Shimano XTR 29er carbon laminate rim on the website and checked it out. It's apparently the ultimate mountain bike race wheel. So what I did is I just looked at the hub and I could see that it's a straight pull. And when it comes to straight pulls, you kind of want the head in the hub, because then you can use a J-bend hub like you see here and rebuild the wheel. So Steve gave me a hub to rebuild this wheel for him. It's an RS470 front wheel, and that's what we're gonna do. I actually have the spokes that came with the rim because someone had cut out the hub. Now, I don't know if it was a front hub or a rear hub, so I'm making sure I have the right spokes for this hub. I'm pretty sure that I can reuse the nipples, but unfortunately they're kind of stuck on the cut spokes, so I'm gonna have to take those off first. But just in case, I have nipples here, and along with all the other parts that Steve gave me to rebuild this wheel, I guess, for his gravel bike. And you can see here we got an RT70S rotor. And just in case those other nipples don't work, I have these gold nipples, and I have my spoke wrench, just in case. And I have my nipple driver, which I always have when I'm building wheels. Lastly, of course, we have the Park Tool TS 2.2. Okay, and let's get down to it and see if we can rescue the nipples from these cut spokes. So as I showed you there, somebody cut all the spokes and took the hub out. You can see there that this might cause a problem already with the rim because the spoke threads are sticking way out of the top of the nipple, which means that maybe there was a problem with the rim, but we'll never know until we build it. So before doing any of that, I have to get these nipples off the spoke. So what I've done is I've just taken it, put it in my vise, and I bent it so I can get some leverage, and I've loosened it with my generic multi-slot spoke wrench, and these nipples come out with a Phillips head screwdriver. Now I had to use the multi-slot wrench because because these nipples are too big for the regular spoke wrenches. It's the Shimano proprietary spoke wrenches, so it's the number 12 on here, so it's a 12 gauge. As you can see here, if you don't have a vise, you can just bend the spoke and try your luck with just the spoke nipple in your finger. This time it came right off. And again, you can see here, like I said, it takes a Phillips, so it means that my nipple driver is not going to work. So we won't be needing that. And the second thing I want to check here is I want to make sure that these nipples will fit onto regular spoke threads. This is a 14 gauge spoke, and there we go. Fits right on, nice and tight. There we go. It screws on right to the right flush to the top, and I'm happy with that. I also have a long Phillips attachment, just in case I need it, and it kind of sticks right in there, which is good. And also I have this ratcheting screwdriver that'll give some leverage, and I have just my regular ratcheting screwdriver. So say bye to the nipple driver and hello to this hub here, on which we'll align our spoke with the logo. So what I'm going to do here is, because I'm not quite sure, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with the M on Shimano, and I'm going to count my 4 holes over, and I'll stick in my key spoke. Here's another view. Just count over my holes and insert my key spoke. I think that was right, so let's start again here. I count 1, 2, 3, and insert into the 4th, and hopefully that'll work. So even if it doesn't really matter, because you have to remember, these are rescue wheels. These aren't brand new wheels that we're making for customers. These are wheels that we've basically taken from the garbage and we're rebuilding. So there we go. Here's another view of the key spoke, and we're going to just take our rim and look for the valve hole. So there we go. We found the valve hole, and we want the spoke hole to the left of that so we can insert our key spoke. So here we go. It doesn't really matter at this point. You just push your spoke through, and we know our nipples are going to work. I measured them out too, and the spoke holes are a little bit wider, so I'm really glad I was able to save these nipples because they're going to fit better. Well, they're designed to fit in this rim, whereas regular nipples, they don't fit quite as well. They kind of moved around in there, and I'm not really sure that's what I was looking for. It can be done, but I think what we want to do is basically try to restore this as best we can. Now, it's not going to be a perfect restoration, but it's going to be pretty close because we're using as much of the original parts as possible, and it doesn't really matter what hub you use. You can see here that it's like all over the place. So I'm going to make a separate video for the lacing just because it would take too long on this video and, you know, nobody's going to watch it. So anyways, what you see here is the wheel just kind of whipping around and it's janked. Like it's all over town. So the first thing we have to do is align the spoke threads with the bottom of the nipple. Basically, we don't want to see any spoke threads, and that'll give us our starting point to begin tensioning and of course begin true. So that's what we're looking for right there. Now I basically did all the work. I'm not going to show it because it took a little bit and I used the screwdriver, so you couldn't really see what I was doing. And I brought it to as straight as possible. And now what I'm going to do is just the fine tuning. So I'm just going to show you the fine tuning here. Basically, we're just looking for the poles over to the left or over to the right, and then we just correct them. We're going to either loosen off tension on the drive side or increase tension on the non-drive side, or a mixture of both. And for every wheel, it's always going to be different, and especially for rescue wheels, because we don't really know the state of the rim. We don't know how round the rim was, or if it was a little bit eggy shaped, or we just don't know that because the hub was cut out, so there was no inspection for us to do. Now, I sort of have a way where I can measure the rim and just kind of go from spoke hole to spoke hole with a tape measure, but I've made videos on it, nobody watches, so if somebody wants to see that, you can just ask for it, and maybe I'll stick it into one of the other videos. So again, we're just using that 12 gauge slot. We really want to be careful because it's very, very easy to strip nipple with that multi-slot, basically 3-sided spoke wrench. And I made a video for this, which I'll put right here if I remember, about which spoke wrenches will strip a nipple the easiest. And here we go. I pretty much got this wheel done, and the jank on it is minimal, very minimal. It's really good. I'm really impressed. Now, in between tensioning sessions, what we want to do is always de-stress, and I usually don't show this because different people have different ways, I guess, but here's how I'm doing it. I found a way to do it with my cart, just kind of stick it in the hole there, the handles, and that's basically all you're doing. You're just adding stress onto the spokes in case they're wound up and they just kind of pop into place. And here we go. Here's the finished product. It's looking really, really good. Like much better than I ever thought a rescue wheel would be, especially a used carbon rim. So I'm really impressed. And here we go. I'm just going to show you the dish. The dish was off on the non-drive side, so all you do is you just put it back in the stand and start increasing your tension by bringing the wheel over to the drive side. Now we're just going to check out the tension. I have it perfect here, perfect in the stand, but let's see the tension. So my tension meter reads a little low, so we have some high spots here. And let's see, for the most part it's pretty uniform, the tension. And now we're getting low. So this rim wasn't perfect. I could try to get the tension as uniform as possible, but this is about as good as I was able to get it. I could keep trying, but it's a front wheel, it's a front disc wheel, and like I said, it's a rescue rim. So there's a very good chance that it was a little bit egg-shaped to begin with, because nobody just throws out a carbon rim. Okay, and you can see that it was spinning nicely. Here's the finished product. You can see I used a radial pattern on the non-drive side, which is on a 28-hole wheel. It's not bad, but it's not necessarily recommended. And I used a 2-cross pattern on the disc side, which I feel is totally acceptable for a 28-hole rim. But, you know, it all depends on what school of thought you come from. everything looks good. The spokes are butted up against the flange, and I did it. I'm actually really impressed with this. Thanks for watching. I hope this helps you out, and go ahead, throw out your carbon wheels so that I can see if I can rescue them. And if you want to see me rescue other wheels, you can subscribe to my channel right here.